Hello, everybody. This is Jeremy Estes, and I'm here with Mr. Jeremy Nickel. And you are
Salutation.
on. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Hello. Uh, you're on the Getting Started with Bucket webinar. We're going to walk through some of the basic foundations of Bucket this fine morning, and get you guys straightened up. Before we get going, though, I want to make sure everyone can hear me. So, can we please, Jeremy? Can you let me know if they can hear me, and make sure we can all see me before we get started?
Yeah, most definitely. Can just maybe one or two of you just let us know by posting and even in the questions whether or not you can hear us. Are we alone?
Can anybody? Can you hear me? If you can, yeah. If you can hear,
Oh,
us,
yes.
just.
We have a yes from
Oh,
Julie and
oh,
Dr. Miles. All right, cool.
Dr. Miles and Julie. Okay, great. So, yeah, like I said, this is the Getting Started with Bucket webinar. And what we're going to do is, real quickly, this will take us about anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes to cover the Getting Started series. We're going to talk about discoveries, surveys, and segmentation funnels. But at the end of this call, if there's anything that you need help with, we're going to have a Q&A session once we get through all the materials. But if there's still something that you need help with, getting over a hump, just kind of getting yourself to where you're moving forward, we do have an opportunity for you to schedule some time to actually talk one-on-one with a bucket specialist on the phone. And on one of those calls, what we do is we just take a look at your account and work with you to get over whatever specific problem that you're having, so that, again, you're always moving forward. So if you've got a survey you need built and you need help with that, we're going to cover that on this call, on how to do it, how to set it up, the ins and outs of it. But if there's still something extra you need help with, we're more than happy to get on the phone with you. Same thing with a segmentation funnel. If you're building one, maybe you just want a fresh set of eyes on it, maybe there's something you can't quite figure out. We're going to cover these things here on this call today, but if there's still something extra, we'll get you guys a link at the end of this call, and you can jump on our schedule. There are not very many spaces available on there, it's first come, first serve, obviously. So we want to make sure if you do have those issues or you need that additional help, you can certainly fill that out and jump on our schedule at the end of this call. So, all that said, let's get moving here. We've got quite a bit to cover. Like I mentioned earlier, as part of the Getting Started with Bucket webinar, what we want to do here on this call today is we're going to walk through and show you how to build and launch a discovery survey, as well as build and launch a segmentation funnel. And so the first thing that we're going to do, just getting started, is look at what goes into building a discovery survey. In a second, I'm going to jump over to bucket.io and walk through that. But here's the big idea here. When you're building a discovery survey, when you're building a segmentation funnel, the workflow is the same on both of them. You've got the building screen, we've got the drag and drop stuff, and we'll cover that here shortly. You can put some design tweaks on it. Then you can add your last bit of configuration, your integrations, your just final tweaks, and then finally you publish. So it's a 4-step workflow, okay? And so just to kind of demo that, I'm going to jump over here and we're going to walk through a survey together. And just so I can show you all the features and everything that you would need to do to launch your discovery survey. All right? So when you first log into Bucket, you're going to see the blue create a new discovery survey, create a new segmentation is orange, and then create a new audience is green. I'm going to jump into the discover screen here. So if you click this top menu, what will happen instead of if you click this instead of just clicking the blue button here, you'll be taken to all of your existing Discover surveys. And you can always create a new one here. So I'm just going to real quickly walk you through a couple of these steps. If you're creating a new one, today we're going to be walking through a full pager, and that means that everything is going to be done within the bucket.io app. You do have the option of using a button, and the reason most people would use a button if you're going to use that for your survey is if you have, like, let's say a high traffic web page on your site that gets a lot of traffic, and you want to see if you can capture some of that traffic and getting some of them to take a survey. Well, this makes it super easy. You would just create a button, slap it on that page that's already getting the traffic, and and then people can take the survey from there. Otherwise, what most people do, like if you're sending emails or putting links on social media, the best way to set that up is by creating a full pager. And so you just click the full page, you add your public name here. Now, the name itself is a little confusing. When you see public name, you think this is the name that others are going to see. No one else will see this name. What it means by public is the name that you see throughout using your survey. Okay, so name it something that you would instantly recognize, right? So if we're going to create a test survey, I guess I should spell it right, then we would just name it test survey. And then you can add an internal name here too. That's optional, but you can put it in. There are some cases where it would pop up later, but the most important name for you inside of your inside of bucket.io is the public name. This is the name that you see everywhere, so make it instantly recognizable. Okay, so then we'll hit continue, and this goes back to the beginning of the workflow that I pointed out earlier. This is the build section of the workflow, and what we'll do here is we'll drag and drop the elements that we need to build our survey. So the first option that you have is to create a welcome page, okay? And the way the welcome page works, I'll pull this up real fast for you. This is like a landing page. So if you've ever used lead pages or ClickFunnels or anything like that, this would be the landing page that you would send people to if they didn't know you were sending them to a survey. So let's say you're offering an incentive for someone to take a survey, like giving them like a freebie, a coupon, or a report, or something that to entice them to take your survey. Or if you just wanted to tee them up and let them know why you're giving them the survey, this would be the place where you could make that offer, right? Or tell them that they're about to take a survey. What a lot of people do, and what I typically do when I'm doing a survey, is I won't even use a welcome page. What I'll typically do, like if you're sending a survey out through email, I'll just send them straight to the questions to begin with, okay? And the way that you do that, if you just want to send them straight to the questions, you just don't put a welcome page on. And that would make your first page of the survey, the first thing they see will be the first question that you put in there. If there's no welcome page, it goes straight to the questions. Now, let's take a look at some of the options that we have for building our survey, some of the question options that we have, some of the elements. So you have your short text. And short text is something like if you wanted to ask their city or their name. You don't typically want to use the short text for name or contact info because you actually have a contact info page. But that's just like if you wanted to ask any kind of one word or short answer. The long text, however, is where you would ask the big open-ended questions. I want to dive deeper into long text here because there are some options that make this a bit different and some configurations. So the first thing you would do here is add your question name. Now, the question name is what your viewer is actually going to see. So instead of just typing, the name of the question, here's where you would say, hey, what is your biggest challenge, right? If you're going to ask an open-ended styled question. Then you see this option here for the Zapier tag. If you're going to be sending this information to your email marketing platform or your email service provider, such as Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign or Aweber, GetResponse, any of those, MailChimp, if you want to send the answer that the person puts in this field to your email service provider, you would need to put a Zapier tag here. So you would put, in this case, maybe challenge 1. That way, when later on, when you're going into Zapier to connect this survey to your email service provider, you would choose the misspelled version of challenge 1. You would choose this Zapier tag, and then bucket would tell Zapier, hey, this is what the person said for this question, and then Zapier would say, hey, email service provider, Bucket is sending you all this information, and then you'd be able to store this in your email service provider. So, so what is your biggest challenge? This is going to be the words that they see. Then the question description would be, just kind of further on that. Maybe please be as descriptive as possible so I can get you the best answers. Now, the next section here where it says choose box height, this is where you're going to choose the size of the actual box. So you can choose up to 4 rows. And what this basically does is it lets them know kind of how long their answer can actually be. So the bigger the box, the more info that that it shows them being able to put it in. So you make sure you configure that when you're adding your long text form in. You can make it a required question. And then, and this is an important box here, you can choose it to be the single most important question of your survey. And a lot of times, you'll want at least one open-ended question to be marked as the single most important question, because then bucket.io will do some additional scoring on that question for the reporting. And we're going to get into the reporting here shortly, and I'll show you how that all looks. So then you'll save your question down, and now you've got your question in here. Now I want to walk you through just a couple of these other ones real quickly. You've got your radio, and then you've got your checkbox element. So radio means they can only choose one option. So you can do a man or a woman here, and then you would just put man, and then add option, woman. So what happens here is they can only choose one of these options. All right? The checkbox, however, they can choose multiple options. So you could put, what is your favorite color? And then you can put red, blue, white. And then they can choose all the colors. All right. So checkbox, you can choose as many as you want. Radio button, you can only choose one. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to point out about these, you can make them a required question as well. And then you have the option of adding other. So if you choose this, if the person chooses other, then they can enter their own information on that option. Now, so those are the element types. Those are the types of questions that you can add into your survey. Now, once you have added your questions in, then you can go in and add your contact info page. This is basically the lead capture. This is where you can get your survey taker to give you their contact information. So it looks like an actual opt-in screen, okay? And you have total control, just like on the welcome screen I showed you earlier. You can change the headline. you can change the subhead. You can add an image or a video to the page. You can turn it off if you don't want either. You can, again, just put more copy on the page or remove it. You can, you have the ability to ask the name, their email, their phone. There's even a spot here for phone description if you wanted to go into detail on why you're asking for a phone number. Again, one of the best practices for surveys is when you start asking for the contact information at the end is you let them know why, basically. Why do I want this additional information from you? And so you have the ability to add in some copy on why you're asking for the phone number, and you can either have another extra field here, or you can remove that. You can also adjust your call to action text on your button, and then if you wanted to add some privacy policy content, you can even add a link to your own privacy policy on your own website if you choose to add that here as well. So you'll save that. So now we've got our questions, and you'll see up here all the things that are completed for your survey. We've got our questions, we've got our contact information, and now we can add our thank you page. The thank you page is built exactly the way the welcome screen and the contact info pages are. You have total control over the content of the page. But you also have one other option here, and that is, you'll notice there is a button on the screen. And so on the button, what you can do is add a URL to anywhere you want to go, send them off to once they've taken your survey. So like I mentioned before, if you had offered something to them in exchange for giving you their or taking your survey, here's where you would let them take you up on that, or this is where you would let them claim their offer. Right? So if you have a download, you can put, download now. And then you would just put the link to whatever your download is. If you wanted to, if you'd given them the coupon, or if you have a coupon for them, get your coupon now, right? Then you link off to wherever we have that. If you didn't make an offer to them, and let's say at the end you say thank you for taking our survey. Make sure you visit us on Facebook or social, or check out this video, or go to our website, or whatever. Again, you can send them off to anywhere you want here. All you got to do is tell them what the call to action is on your button, and then put the URL in here. And you're good to go. But make sure, if you do put a URL, you've got to do the HTTP. Save the page, and now you've got your survey is ready to go. And except for obviously the welcome page, just because we decided not to. But you always have this here as a roadmap to make sure you have gotten everything that you meant to get added to your survey before you move on to the next step. And like we pointed out earlier, that next phase of the workflow is the design section. Now, in the design section, again, this is where you can start putting those design tweaks. Every funnel, every survey that you can control and that you build inside of bucket.io can be completely white labeled to look, completely customized. So, let's say you work with clients. You can come in here and change the logo for every one of your surveys. It could be a different logo. If you are your own, if you have your own business and you're just doing it for yourself, you can come in and add your logo into. Let me go here. You can add your logo to the top, and then what that'll do is your logo will be displayed throughout the entire survey. Then you go back, and you can also add background images. You can add footer navigation, footer text, and And since everyone here should have access to the Pro account, you don't have to have the bucket, the Powered by Bucket logo or icon on your screen. On the lower plans, this option you wouldn't have that option. So you can have it turned on or turned off. You can also add background images or color. If you just want to change the color up on your background, you would come down here, choose this color scheme that you want, and then it'll change the background of your survey. Otherwise, you could slap up an image for the background, and you've got yourself a nice background to use for your survey. I'm just going to go with that orange. Save your changes. Always make sure up in the top right when you're in the design section to save your changes, and then you'll want to make sure you always click this kind of gray area, because if you go back here, and again, this is going to take, you're going to do this a couple of times, I'll just tell you right now. If you click this Discover Surveys, it's going to take you all the way back, all the way out. So make sure when you're in the design section to click that kind of back gray arrow. You can change the entire color scheme of your funnel, the header text, the headline text, all of that. You can, a lot of times people, if this is a little bit too of a light gray for you, just come in here and darken all of your text, or just change it all together to match whatever what your typical color scheme is for your own marketing and branding. And that's it. Once you have added these final design tweaks onto your survey, then the next step is to go into configure. We're going to walk through a couple of things here. So at the configure screen, what you're going to want to do here is, and you want to make sure you do this every time. You want to change the title and the description of your survey. Here's why. If you leave this as untitled and no description, and let's say you go and paste a link to it on your Facebook, on your business Facebook page or anywhere, it's going to show up as untitled, no description. So you always want to give a description here of what they're going to be taking. So we'll just call it, in this case, the test survey, and then just a description. I need your biggest challenge. Again, it seems like a small thing to remember to do, but it changes everything. If you paste the link like on Facebook, right, and no description, or title, no description comes up, that's it just looks wonky. So again, you want to make sure you give as much description as possible about what's going to happen when they click that link. Also, a very good practice here is to upload an image. We give you some good recommended image sizes here so that it looks the best it possibly can when you share it. The image will come up, and it'll just look a million times better for you. Let's come back over here and take a look at integration. So, as I mentioned before, the way that bucket.io sends the information that gets put into your survey or your segmentation funnels is through Zapier. Okay, so if you haven't already done that, you'll need to create a Zapier account. A free one will work fine for sending, just if you're not sending like a lot of leads through. So you want to set up a free Zapier account and then connect that to your email service provider. It's very simple. They've got all kinds of instructions for doing that. And then when it's time to connect each of your specific surveys or your segmentation funnels to Zapier, you'll simply click Integrate. And then what you always want to make sure you do is continue with a test lead. If you don't do that, it's going to fail, and then you're going to have to redo the whole Zapier connection with Bucket. So always continue with a test lead. And then when you see this page, you'll either log in or sign up to accept the invite. And then once you're inside, I'm not going to go too deep into Zapier, on this call, we actually have a full-blown training for Zapier and setting it up. But just so you can see how it works, so we logged in to accept the invite, we create the Zap, we create a new segmentation, or I'm sorry, in this case it's a Discover. It works, you'll do the exact same thing on both, but depending on what you're working in, whether it's a Discover or a segmentation, you'll choose that here. You'll choose your bucket account, and if you haven't already connected it, you'll have the ability here to connect your account. And the way that you do that, just real quick, is, let me back out here. You'll come back and you'll click on your name. And this is if you've never connected Bucket to Zapier. You'll click your name, you'll go to account settings, and you'll see this API key here. You just copy that. And paste that right in here where it says enter your API key. And then hit yes and continue, and it'll get it added over here. Then you'll save and continue to go to the next thing, and this is where you'll choose the Discover survey that we just created. So you'll see here we have a test survey. That's the one that we're currently working in. And there you go. And then from there, you'll continue and connect whatever your email service provider. If you use ActiveCampaign, Entreport, you can, like I said before, you could do MailChimp. They've got pretty much anyone that you could think of or that you're using is very likely supported by Zapier. Infusionsoft, Drip. I mean, I haven't seen one yet that wasn't actually supported. The only one that I've seen that wasn't supported is when people try to do ClickFunnels, but that's not an actual email service provider. So, anything else, GetResponse, Aweber, I mean, all of them, like I said. Then you'll just connect that here, go through the last of those settings, and you'll have your integration connected. Like I said before, that falls out a little bit outside the scope of this call. I want to get through an integration or a segmentation funnel, but that's the basic setting up and integrating your email service provider with Zapier. This is the screen you do it on the configure. The same thing with the Facebook pixel. If you want to start building your audience in Facebook, you can add a remark your Facebook pixel. You just paste the code in here, and that'll turn it on. You can customize the variables that you pass if you're using, like in this case, if you're using the, if there's anything that you want to pass through to another question, then you can use that in the field logic section. Again, all these things are covered in more detail later. Adding Google Analytics into your survey or your integration or your segmentation funnel, you'll add that here. Same thing with your UTM variables. Again, each of these has its own training, so we'll get into those later in detail. But if you want to play around with it, the configure screen is where you would go and make these adjustments. Then finally, once you've gotten through with all your configuration, you come over to publish. Make sure you're using the right type of funnel, and you choose your URL. So in this case, we've got a survey. You could choose bucketsurveys.com, and then you publish your discovery survey. Now, what will happen is, let's say you don't have a welcome screen on your build. It'll say, hey, your discovery survey is not ready. You can still continue. All you've got to do is go to I understand, publish anyways. If you made a mistake and just forgot to put the welcome page, then you can always say, oh, go back and and finish the funnel out. So we'll do I understand, and now we have the link to our survey. And this is the link that you'll give out to your, in your email. This is the link you'll use in social media. This is the link you'll give people to take your survey. and we'll just take a quick look at it right now. See? And then we've got the contact stuff here. And then we've got the Facebook link here, just like I said before. So now, in just a few minutes, you can have your very first bucket survey up and running. Back to bucket. So now that you've seen what it looks like to actually build a survey, let's take a look real quickly at some of the reporting options that are inside the Discovery survey tool. There's a lot of powerful insights that you can get from giving surveys, and inside a bucket, we give you the ability to see those insights pretty much at a glance, without having to download them out and use another tool to look into your data. So I'm going to go back to Discover, and I'm going to find one with some results on it. So we've got one. This one here's got 79, so this should be fine. So what we're going to do to get to the reporting section of your survey, what you'll do is click on Analytics. And you can see just at the top of the screen here, these are your basic stats, okay? So you're going to see out of 131 views, 79 people took this survey. And out of the 79 people that started the survey, 79 people completed it. So it's got a 100% completion rate. And if we had used an opt-in, this would have told us our opt-in rate, okay? So these are great numbers to have right at your fingertips, because you can see if, let's say, we'd had, maybe 5 times as many views and the same amount of participants. We would know that, hey, you know what? We're sending people to this quiz or this survey. No one's really filling it out, or not enough people. So we know, okay, maybe we either need to put a landing page on it, or we need to do a better job communicating what it is in our email or in our social media posts, right? Then you can see at completions, let's say this had been 50% completion rate. Well, then we would know, man, we really need to work on the questions, whatever question they were falling off at. And here's where you can get kind of deeper into that. So you can see here, you got this question 1, 59% of the people filled it out, and this one, 100% of the people filled it out. Well, we would know if, let's say, if the numbers were reversed, right? Let's say 100% of the people that saw this filled this first question out, but only 60% filled the second question out. We would know the problem would be at the second question. We would need to adjust what was happening on that question. So you get all kinds of tools here to use to improve the conversion rate of your survey and get more people taking it. Now you've got access to the word cloud, and this is where kind of the meat of it starts coming in, right? This is where you can start getting the buzzwords of your market. As they're completing your survey, bucket.io goes in and says, hey, these are the words that are getting used the most. Now, if you see stuff like how or am, things like that start popping up here, you can always go into your words and get rid of them. And so what that does is it starts bringing up the more, it just brings up the actual words that are being used and gives you some actionable information to start using right away. These are some of the big things that that people will help with. Getting their surveys up and running. Segmentation, connecting to Zapier, you see what I'm saying? So you start learning these things and getting that insight right off the bat. To get more detailed responses and actually see the responses that were filled in, you click on responses at the top here, and you start getting the scores. And so you'll know which ones to pay the most attention to. You can even filter out just by your most hyper responsives, which means the most responsive question or responsive answers. So you know who to pay attention to the most. Now, if you do want to do more detailed digging, you can always download the responses into a CSV file and analyze those in your favorite spreadsheet software. And that's it. So you could, again, once you have your survey built, then you've got your reporting, you've got everything that you need to take your marketing and start using it in your segmentation funnels, which is our next thing that we're going to cover here. We're going to build a segmentation funnel. And for those of you who aren't really familiar what a segmentation funnel is, this is the core of Bucket, right? This is where you start putting people into buckets. The discovery tool tells you what you need to know about your audience, just by asking them, hey, what is your problem? What are issues that we can help you with? Once they tell you that, then you start building the segmentations, and then you use bucket.io to actually let your audience self-segment themselves so that you can give them a more customized experience. You can also capture their leads and then give them the customized outcomes for the better conversions. Let me give you guys a couple of examples in case you've never seen one in action before. I've got a couple here. I picked some really good ones that I know are performing very well. So we've got this one here. This is a tennis quiz, and where they're basically trying to find out, hey, what is your biggest struggle? How can we help you become a better tennis player? So once the person starts the quiz, you have the first question here you have is, are you a man or a woman? I'm a man. How old are you? I'm in my 30s. What is your NTRP rating? Again, as you start, these people are self-selecting. They're becoming a more segmented lead for this company to market to. What would you say you struggle with the most? Serving. Okay, you can use some help holding your serve. What happens after you serve? And then again, they start trying to, again, segment. What is the best thing that we could possibly tell this person to make them a customer? Are you the type of person that's willing to try something new? Yes. Awesome. We've identified your #1 doubles killer. Where should we send your fix video? Now, again, now that they've walked you through these questions, once you fill this format, you're taken to an exact answer for the questions that you gave. That's a segmentation funnel. This person has told this company exactly the type of customer they are. So now all this company has to do is sell them that exact problem solver instead of some one-size-fits-all tennis doubles training. Right now they can give them the exact problem or solution to their problem. So that's kind of like a quiz. There's another way of doing it, and it's called an assessment style. Right? This is where you can go in and dive deeper. There's a marketer named Michael Hyatt, or a business owner, and his marketing they take advantage of an assessment. I'm not going to go through this entire thing; it's kind of long. But what I want you to see here is that they get you answering your questions and segmenting yourself into their marketing. So they give you the exact solution to your problem, and the reason they're able to do it is you're telling them what the problem is, right? And so I'm going to dive back over here. That's what a segmentation funnel is. Okay, so if this is your first time building one, I'm going to walk you through the basics just to get you set up and get you started. And then, of course, we've got deeper trainings to help you take advantage of some of the more robust options that we have inside of bucket.io. So let's jump over there real quick into Bucket and take a look at what goes into building a segmentation funnel. So what I did here is I clicked on Segment at the top menu, and this takes us to our segmentation funnel. Exactly like when we built our Discover, the workflow is the same. You've got the build screen, you've got the design screen, the configure, and the publish. The workflow is exactly the same. So what we're going to do here, let's go ahead and take a look at an existing one that I've got in here, just so you can see what goes in. Here's something that I want to point out to you guys too. You'll see this screen anytime you try to edit a funnel or a survey that already has information in it. In this case, I only had 3 things, and it was from a test that we were done. But let's say you have launched your segmentation funnel, and you already have actual lead data coming into it. If you don't want to lose that data, then don't edit. You'll get this screen, and you'll say, yes, I want to. It'll give you the option to either clone the funnel, or I understand I'm going to lose the data that's in this, that's being tracked in this funnel, and then click the button on the right. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I understand, I'd like to continue. Again, because Bucket doesn't want you to make a decision that you'll regret, they'll say it one more time. Now, don't let this freak you out. Okay, it's a great warning, but if you're just editing out your if you're testing it, you're going to see this a lot, but don't let it freak you all the way out. Most cases, if you're using your segmentation funnel, and if you're going to make a major edit, you're going to want to clone it anyways. This is just a reminder that, hey, we don't want you to wipe something out that you don't mean to. So we're going to click yes, I'm sure. And so I already have this one built. So I'm going to walk you through the steps in it. So remember before when we again, it's exactly the same as the survey, but there's a few key differences here. Number one is we're almost always going to use a welcome page, right? So this is going to be the welcome page where we say, hey, this is what you're going to get by taking this quiz or answering these few short questions, this one question. Whatever it is, you're going to give them something in exchange for them to answer your questions, right? So we've got Tony Robbins reveals how the greatest businesses stay successful year after year. Free book. You're here for a free book. You've got access to the headline, the subheadline. Again, this can be totally customized for whatever it is you're selling. Now, one thing, and I think I brought this up before, but in case I didn't, for video, you can use any major platform that hosts, or any platform, not even major, any platform that has video hosting on it. So as you can see here, YouTube, you can use Facebook, Vimeo, Wistia, anyone that has the embedding option for their videos, you can just plug that embed code here, and it just pops it right up in the middle of the screen there. You'll save your page. And now we're going to get into some of the deeper stuff here. So when it comes to asking your questions, the main type of segmentation question that you have is the radio button. You'll notice on these here, I'm just going to start at the beginning of this one, just so you can see it in action. Every one of their questions is a radio button, right? You could choose either or. I'm either in my 20s or I'm in my 70s. You notice there's not a lot of checkboxes here because you can't be both. And I'm going to explain to you why it's so important that you try to stick to, on segmentation funnels, you want to try to stick to radio buttons, because what happens is you're going to be, based on what they're choosing, you're going to be sending them to their specific pages. So, in this case here, let me pop this up. So as you can see here, yes, Tony, please send my copy of Business Mastery. So then you ask them what, the segmentation question. And then they would choose their segmentation question or their answer here, right? They can only pick one of them. And as you can see here at the bottom, these are our outcome pages. These are the pages that we're going to send them to based on what they chose. As you can see here, though, we have, instead of just 3, we have a total of 5 different outcomes that we can send people to. But on our first question here, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 options, right? So how do we get to that fifth option? And that is when you would use this option here called branching logic. So you don't want to have every question 5 or 6 responses long. In some cases, you want to dive deeper. And so in this case, what we did was we matched our hitting my goals and deadlines to the hitting my goals and deadlines outcome page. And these other options are go to their specific outcomes. But if you chose this feeling overwhelmed on what to do next, that requires a little deeper look, okay? And so we use branching logic to take the person who answers this question here to the next question so we could dive a little deeper. So where are you getting overwhelmed the most? They could choose, in this case, technology or business. Now, how do you map their answer to the outcome? The way you do that is you open up the question like I did here. Actually, they just looks like an update rolled out. Instead of clicking on it, you see that you've got these options here. You can either clone or create a variation, or in this case, you can look at the outcomes that are mapped. And the way you map an outcome is, in this case, we've got our goals and deadline, hitting my goals and deadlines is one outcome, knowing what's really working today is an outcome, and getting detailed feedback on my business is an outcome, right? So then you would take the answer for this question and map it to the outcome that you created. Then you save that. And now, anytime someone chooses answer A, hitting my goals and deadlines, they'll be taken to the outcome page of hitting my goals and deadlines. And I'm going to walk you through that here in a second. But there's one other option here that I want to show you guys. And that is the fact that you can use multiple types of lead capture pages. Okay? So I'm going to go back to this assessment here, and I'm going to show you they do the same thing here. So we're going to skip, we're going to say in my 30s, 35, notice here too, notice I chose that I'm a woman and that all the images are of women. We're going to take these last things. Oh, I'm set in my ways. And then what you're going to be able to do here is this is the option screen. So this screen is this lead capture screen here. What you have the ability to do is match the copy that you use. I'll pull it up for you real quick. What you have to do here, the option to do here is map the copy that you're going to be using to get them to give you their email address with the answers that they chose. So in this case here, if you had chosen hitting your goals and deadlines today, you would actually map that to their, if they chose the option, hitting my goals and deadlines is one of my biggest issues, then you could show them more customized opt-in screen and the outcome page. And the way that you choose that here is on this lead page, we're saying this is our hitting the goals and deadlines. Then over here where it says map outcome, this lead capture page will be shown depending on the outcome page you choose. Here's where you would choose hitting my goals and deadlines. And then you just complete the copy the same exact way that you do over on the welcome page that I showed you earlier. And you can do that. You can make a custom opt-in screen for each one of your options if you choose. You don't have to do it that way, but if you notice, the more customized that you can get your segmentation funnel from start to finish, the more you can customize it to solve their problem, the higher your conversions are going to be. So maybe you start off with just one lead capture screen, right? But you notice, you know what, I'm only getting a 18 to 20% opt-in rate. I really want to beef that up. Then you say, okay, one of the things that I can try is making a lead capture page for each of the outcomes or each of the different types of outcomes that I can get. And and use that to drive your opt-in conversions up. Again, we have a full-blown training on how to do multiple outcome mapping. We have a full training. In fact, there's the training this afternoon on how to create a scoring quiz that looks a lot like this one here. So if you haven't registered for that, I highly recommend it, because this is where we're going to go into the more detailed nuances of what it takes on this screen to actually build something closer to this type of quiz or this type of assessment over here. So once you have your outcomes built, you have your opt-in pages built, your lead capture pages, and you've got your quiz built, you're ready to go on and apply the different the design features onto it, just like we did before. It's exactly the same. You can add a logo. And so if you're working with clients, it could be any logo. You can completely customize each funnel. If you're working with different types of people with your own business, you can completely customize each of your funnels here. And the configuration is exactly the same. You set up your integration with Zapier the same way. You set up your Facebook pixel, you add your field logic, your Google Analytics. All of this stuff is exactly the same for both the survey and the segmentation funnel. Once you're done with the configuration, so let's see changes, you'll go to the publish. Again, it's exactly the same. You would choose the type of segmentation funnel that you'll be using. So if you're going to use a full pager, which means the entire quiz or assessment or the entire funnel is going to be the full page inside of bucket.io. Otherwise, you could do the button where it's a pop-up. You can make it an exit pop if you've got it on your website. Same with a splash or an entry page. You click the publish. You get your link. Copy that link. And I'll show you what that looks like. This is what you look like once you have that built. So you've got your background, you've got the full design. Yes, I want my free copy of Business Mastery. You'll click whatever your option is. So we know, remember we had, we go deeper a little bit here, technology. So you fill out the form below, and I'll show you how to use Business Mastery to get rid of your tech overwhelm. Again, totally customized to what this person's saying is their issue, right? And then as you can see here, you're taken to a final outcome page. This is the outcome page customized for a simple way of getting rid of tech overwhelm without becoming a caveman, right? So the copy on the page, this outcome page, the opt-in page, the outcome page is all designed to solve this person's specific problem. And now that person is also a segmented lead in your email marketing system as well, so that your follow-up emails, you'll be smart enough to know who exactly this person is, what problem they have, and then you can give them your solution based on that specific problem. That's what's going to drive up your conversions. So that is how you build a segmentation funnel. Let's real quick jump over here. I know we want to take a quick look at the segmentation funnel reports. So let me walk you through that, because what the reporting does in bucket.io, close this. The main thing that the reporting gives you, the functionality, is that it helps you. I'm going to actually see if I can find some data. What it does is it helps you always be making your funnel better and better and better and higher converting. Okay. So what you see at the top, just like with the discovery surveys, is you get this kind of basic information screen at the top. So we can see here we had 72 people saw this specific segmentation. 91.7 of them completed it. We didn't have an opt-in rate on this one, just because we weren't asking for emails on it. But as you can see here, you can get an idea of where people fall off on these things, right? So you had 90 people saw this one, and 73 people saw this one, and only 59 of them chose. So 80% of them fell off. If you're seeing these types of numbers in yours, you'll know, oh wow, if we have a huge drop off here, let's say this one was like 30%. Well, we know we would need to fix this question, right? And the same thing, you'll have your lead capture stats, and then you'll see what outcome pages most people went to, right? So you'll be able to see, okay, most of our people that we're sending this to this segmentation funnel are mostly seeing this outcome. So then you can make business decisions based on those outcomes as well. Again, the major part of the reporting system on these is that it just keeps you at the front so that you're always able to stay smart with your marketing. If you've got a question in there that no one's answering and it's causing all kinds of drop-offs, then you can always go in and just either come up with a new way of saying it, rephrasing it, or just cutting it out of your funnel altogether, allowing you to always be tweaking, always be testing, and making your quiz better and better and better. So putting it all together, you've seen what it takes to build one. You've seen what a couple of really good high-converting funnels look like. The two that I showed you, the tennis one has generated something like 20,000 leads in less than a month. In fact, it's performing so well, I believe it's the tennis channel wanted to work with the guys that actually made that funnel and are promoting that product. That's how good it works. The other one, the Michael Hyatt one, I know they've done like 10,000 or something leads in a little under 3 weeks. So again, you've seen what it's like to have the potential of having a high-performing segmentation funnel. Now you hopefully have a better understanding of what they are, how they look, and how they build one. The same with the discovery survey. You see what it takes to get a survey built and start getting that market insight and the language to use from the word clouds and the responses the scoring and and being able to look at those detailed responses. And then those segmentation funnels is that natural next step. You take what you learned and you customize the experience for the higher conversions, and that's where that comes from. Is just customizing that experience, and you've got complete capability of doing that inside of Bucket. So I went a little bit longer than I meant to as far as going through some of these things, but I do want to take a little bit of time here and do a Q&A. But again, if there's anything in here you can't, that maybe that didn't get covered, we'll try to answer some of those in the Q&A. But again, I also want to invite you to, if you'd like to go a little bit deeper with your own issues and your own account, and schedule a one-on-one call with us. And again, it's about a 15-minute call. We'll just walk through whatever your issue is. We'll kind of do like an over-the-shoulder, where we'll just look at what is going on with your account, what is it you're trying to accomplish, and we'll let you schedule that time. But if there's anything burning that you think, if I just had the answer to this, I could go do this right now, then go ahead and ask those in the chat. And Mr. Nickel, if you could, I guess let's just kind of go through what some of those questions are, and I'll see what I can do to answer them now.
Yeah, there are actually no questions right now in there, but I did paste the Bucket survey to get to the one-on-one scheduler. So, yep, if anyone has any questions, but I'm not seeing any just yet.
Wow. Cool. Well, that's fine. What I'll do then is, yeah, if you want to go ahead, make sure you complete the survey too, so that we know kind of what the issue is, right? Before we give you a call, be as detailed on that as possible. That way, once we get on the phone, we can literally just jump right into your exact problem, and then whatever that is, we get it solved on the call. That's one of our key things that we're looking for here, is to solve the problem and get you over whatever hump you're having, whether it's getting that discovery survey up and running, getting those responses the way you need them to be, or getting that segmentation funnel up off the ground and converting like crazy.
Cool. And looks like, okay, Roger had a question about where you'll be able to access it. So you'll be getting an email after this from GoToWebinar about how to view it. It'll just be hosted with them. And we'll also be sending a follow-up email to you tomorrow. So no problem there. And then, let's see, Lauren had a question. Where do we find the more in-depth training videos if we want to get into more detail? So, and I can just cover that one. Lauren, we do have a KBase at help.bucket.io, which we're constantly upgrading and updating, that is. And we also have our YouTube channel where we have a few videos up, bucket.io. So, in fact, there are a few previous webinars there as well that you can check out. But those are the two sources for more in-depth videos and training. And it looks like that's it for the questions at this time.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I will leave it here then. And like I said, you already posted the link, right?
Yeah, I sure did.
Awesome. Thank you, man. All right, great, guys. Well, we appreciate you for getting on. Like I said, there is a call this afternoon. We're going to go dive deeper into creating one of those scoring quizzes and walking you through a segmentation funnel and building that scoring into it. So if that's something that you've been thinking about doing, or if you like, again, you like the look of some of these really high-performing segmentation funnels, highly recommend you get on that call this afternoon. It'll be at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we'll start right away, and then we're going to go dive deeper into building one of these things. All right. Well, as of now, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and let you guys get back to work. If you have anything, always definitely know that you can reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you out. And Mr. Nickel, if you could play us out.
All right. Yeah. Do I need to play a song, Jeremy, or
like the keyboard cat?
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Take care.